eastern Libya in uncertain circumstances which we judge required their protection, to build on these initial contacts and to assess the scope for closer diplomatic dialogue. I pay tribute to that team. They were withdrawn yesterday after a serious misunderstanding about their role, leading to their temporary detention.
A helicopter carrying 6 Special Forces soldiers, an officer from the MI6 intelligence service, a spy by another name, and 1 diplomat landed in Salouche, several kilometres from Benghazi. With guns, explosives and fake passports in their bags, they were quickly detained by locals.
8 people were arrested, and it turned out that they carried British passports. The reason that they were arrested is that they entered the country illegally and without permission, authorisation or prior arrangement with the Libyan authorities. Libya is an independent nation. Therefore, our sovereignty and our borders should be respected by everybody.
The UK's ambassador to Libya, currently in London, then had to call rebel leaders to explain what was going on, a conversation which surfaced on Libyan state TV.
We try to interfere, saying those people are coming to helping us.
Yes, their idea is that they're a group who are just coming to find out where our mission will stay and how they will operate to do the logistics, and then we will send the officials in consultation with you next week.
I think the intentions are perfectly fair. What they're trying to achieve is fine, but of course it is an embarrassment in the way it portrayed itself, first of all, to the rebels in the east, and secondly, actually, to the government in the west, which sort of lose face on both sides.
This is a huge embarrassment for the British government. Special forces are highly regarded, but this is one incident that won't get a great write-up in their history. It's also a propaganda victory for Colonel Gaddafi and the Libyan government. He's been saying for a while that there are foreign influences among the protesters, that old colonial powers are desperate to get involved. Now he has something concrete to back that up. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, outside the Libyan embassy in London.
Al Jazeera's Hoda Abdulhamid broke the news about the exchange of fire between British Special Forces and Libyan rebel fighters. She has more from Benghazi.
When the helicopter landed south of Benghazi, it was during the thick of night, and I think they thought that they would go unnoticed then, but eventually they were received really by residents and rebels who basically heard the noise of the helicopter, and as they got off the helicopter, there was an exchange of gunfire between the two sides that lasted about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, we're told that the rebels really wanted to catch these people because they didn't know who it was, who was landing in the middle of the night like that. And on the other side, apparently they were trying not to hurt the rebels, not to get entangled into an even more difficult position. So apparently that gunfire lasted about 15 minutes until the rebels got hold of these 8 people.
Egypt's new Prime Minister Essam Sharaf has appointed a new caretaker cabinet in Cairo, sworn in by the head of Egypt's armed forces, Mohammed Hussein Tantawi, at this special ceremony in Cairo. Well, Egypt's special prosecutors now ordered the detention of 47 police officers for allegedly burning documents at several state security headquarters. The interim Prime Minister of Tunisia, Beji Caid Sebsi, has unveiled his new cabinet after a spate of resignations. It's going to be the 3rd such government since the overthrowing of President Ben Ali in January. Caid Sebsi was appointed after the previous interim Prime Minister, Mohamed Ghannouchi, resigned. That was after violent protests because of his close ties to Ben Ali. South Sudan has been hit by a spate of mass killings with more than 50 dead in 2 days. Southern soldiers there are fighting 2 separate rebel groups in Jonglei and Upper Nile State. All sides have suffered casualties. It's unclear how many civilians lost their lives. Well, the violence continues to plague the south, which officially becomes a new country in July. Only 4 days ago, 33 people were killed in the disputed Abyei region. Pro-government forces in Somalia have taken control of a strategically important town in the west of the country. An official says rebel al-Shabaab fighters abandoned the town of Luke on Monday morning without putting up a fight. It's being presented as a victory for the new transitional government, which has been in place for 100 days. Well, to another African country where there are problems, Côte d'Ivoire. There are concerns it could return to civil war and worries about that getting worse every day. There are groups of young men who support the disputed President Laurent Gbagbo, and they've been looting homes of opposition members, while others form vigilante groups. Mohamed Ado went to meet one such group in Abidjan.
Ruling the streets of Abidjan, young men take matters into their own hands. Hundreds of them pouring into the streets, setting up roadblocks and searching drivers. They say they're here to help the police and army ensure that Laurent Gbagbo remains the president of their country. Their loyalty to the man is unshakable.
We shall die to protect Gbagbo, and we are doing this to defend the constitution of Côte d'Ivoire. Ouattara is going against the very constitution he voted for.
They take nothing to chance. Nothing misses their attention, and they don't mind who they upset.
I don't appreciate their attitude. I urge them to be polite as they go about what they're doing.
These young men say that their work on the streets has largely been successful and that they managed to nab a number of firearms destined for the rebels in the north. They are also understand instructions to ensure that the movement of UN personnel here in the capital is curtailed.
The UN forces have shown they are not impartial. They are biased. They are responsible for what is happening in Côte d'Ivoire. They have been arming and transporting rebels.
Conditions continue to worsen for civilians as the violence spirals. At least 200,000 people have been displaced, particularly from Abidjan, according to the United Nations. More than 360 people have also died since November. It's a toll that's bound to rise even higher if the current political crisis continues. Mohamed Ado, AlJazeera, Abidjan.
Coming up in this news, the Italian island, which is bracing for even more migrants from North Africa. And Japan's Prime Minister under pressure after his foreign minister resigns.
Hello, we've got more very wet weather making its way into southern parts of Australia, just squeezing that moisture out of the tropics, and it's sinking its way further south. Some parts here could see around 150 millimetres of rainfall over the next 24 to 48 hours. So that will bring with it the risk of flooding, and that flooding rain could well also ease its way into that western side of Victoria. There we go with the heavy rain through central parts. To the east of that, it's fine and dry, 27 Celsius for Sydney and for Brisbane, 32 degrees there for Perth. Again, it stays fine and dry. Now we move on into the middle part of the week, and that wet weather, as you can see, diving its way down into Victoria by this stage. The high pressure, which has been keeping it dry here, is easing a little further eastwards across New Zealand. So the weather for New Zealand, at least, should start to cheer up. It's still quite breezy as we go on through much of Tuesday. A keen southwesterly wind coming in. So temperatures at around 16 Celsius, pushing up towards 19 degrees. But there you go. Winds falling lighter. A lovely day to come as we go on through Wednesday. Further north, there's quite a rash of showers through Vanuatu, through Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, seeing the heaviest of the showers through Southeast Asia.